Not be trusted until you are proven safe.
Husband and wife, they're having a party. They've been married, but a couple days later, she realizes how
Three baby daddies, I wouldn't have my three amazing kids.
Normalize fucking hating your husband.
No, I don't think I will, for multiple reasons. Well, first of all, normalizing consistent feelings of hatred towards someone is called Stockholm Syndrome. And to be clear, you're not supposed to have that. Two, and this is going to sound silly when you say it out loud, but if you don't actually hate your spouse and you don't want to actually hate your spouse, then getting into a regular habit of hating your spouse will train you to feel more comfortable with actually hating your spouse. But finally, it ends with this big point of like, oh, but we don't actually hate our spouse. It's just for a minute. And this is the important part. It's definitely true that probably every person who's been married or in a long-term relationship has had a moment where they're like, oh my God, I could wring this person's neck. The difference is whether they handle that issue privately or publicly. Because when those feelings are dealt with privately, it can be worked through. But if you let that hatred be shown to the general public for even 1 minute, it will change how they view your spouse forever. So before you get too cozy marinating in and justifying holding on to one of the worst, most self-sabotaging feelings you could possibly have toward a person who I'm sure if you heard them say that they hated you, you would be crying in fetal position on the floor, just remember you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube.
Why is that? When women like her go on a podcast or a media platform, they always try to disregard men or belittle them at every goddamn point, because we very rarely see the opposite happen, and because of this kind of attitude, most men don't even think of giving them a chance, let alone a commitment.
Not be trusted until you are proven safe.
What an interesting statement. And according to the captions, it's all men.
And if that bothers you,
let me guess, does it mean that those men that have a problem with being generalized are part of the problem?
You are not safe.
I'm sure we're all very surprised to hear someone come to that logical conclusion.
Because men who are safe have no problem proving it.
And I wonder, how exactly does a man prove that he's safe?
Their actions, their demeanor speaks for itself.
Does it now? I'm actually really glad that one said that, actually. Because if actions and behavior truly speak for themselves, then that speaks volumes about any individual that would go so far as to generalize any demographic of people based on the actions of some, and then to say that those members of that group have to prove themselves to be safe in order for other people to view them as such. Can we apply that logic to every group of people, or is it only socially acceptable to do that towards men?
And this is yet another representation of the modern women victim mentality, which knows no boundaries and would even sacrifice her own family if it meant she is proven right in her delusional world.
And she says, the only reason you got me is because I was recently divorced, scared, and I had a kid. Can you sit down on the couch for a second? Sits down and said, we're done. We're getting a divorce. And she tried everything. She begged. All right, y'all. So do you side with a man or woman in the case I'm about to present here? Okay, I'm actually going to side with the man on it, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. So this man and this woman, husband and wife, they're having a party. They've been married for a couple years, and the guy's stepkid, her kid, you know, is there at the party. Everybody's having a good time or whatever, and he's giving relationship advice to some of their friends. And she comes over and says, don't take relationship advice from him. And he says, thinks she's playing around and says, well, it got me you, didn't it? And he gives her a kiss or whatever, and she says, the only reason you got me is because I was recently divorced, scared, and I had a kid. And basically he was a safe choice. And he goes silent, right? And I mean, I don't know, that would be so freaking devastating. Okay, but a couple days later she realizes how silent and how affected he is, and she tries apologizing. He said, I'll be okay. And then like 2 weeks later, she's starting to get into panic because he will not talk to her. He won't do anything. She starts cooking his favorite foods, trying to do all the things that he likes, even goes so far as to have their kids go stay at her parents' house, or his stepkid and her kid go stay at the parents' house. And then she takes him somewhere that was important to them, and they go stay a couple nights there. And then when they come back, he goes to work for a couple days. He comes back. As soon as he walks in the door, he said, can you sit down on the couch for a second? Sits down and said, we're done.
Doesn't matter now what she does for him, because the damage has been done and she has just lost her ticket to a good life just because she thought that she was too good for him. But as we see, the reality begs to differ.
3 kids, and if I wouldn't have...
Wouldn't you be ashamed of your 3 kids? Your 3 kids are a blessing, bundle of joy, blessing from the Most High God. But continue.
I wouldn't have the 3 baby daddies. I wouldn't have my 3 amazing kids.
Whoa, 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 whoa there, boy. Whoa there, buddy. 3 baby daddies? 3 of them. But maybe I'm a misjudged character. But continue.
But for me, you have to accept me as a whole with a 4 unit. So it's either, are you even equipped to hold down this 4 fort?
It seems like the other men that you have children didn't want to come with the 4 equipped, the so-called total package, or what y'all ladies call, we are a package.
Instead of asking men, are they even equipped for it? She should look for a man willing to give her a chance, because as things stand, she has already messed up 3 opportunities and her future looks bleak.
Men are walking away from dating and marriage, and it's really interesting to see how women are responding to it. And instead of looking in the mirror and acknowledging to themselves that they may be part of the problem, they're saying things like this.
Men can't believe that women are single by choice because men are never single by choice. Same as celibacy, men are never celibates by choice.
So let's break this down. First thing she says is that men can't believe that women are single by choice. Let me assure you, we not only believe it, we know it as a fact. And the majority of the women who are single by choice, it's because they've listened to other women who are also single, usually not by choice. The ones who are sad, bitter, and lonely, and frankly, miserable, and, well, as they say, misery loves company. So these women are running around making videos and talking it up how they're so happy being single, when the reality says anything different. Again, this is what women are telling themselves because they don't want to face the reality that men are rejecting them. And it's better to say that men aren't choosing to be celibate, that women are forcing it on them, because it makes them feel better and avoid having to face the reality that it's them that are being rejected, that it's men who are indeed walking away. I actually feel bad for women that they've reached this point where they're so divested in reality that they resort to things like this, that they somehow think it makes things better to say things like this, that somehow men are going to suddenly wake up and be attracted to them because women have hurled insults and demeaned them for years now, when the reality is the exact opposite. Men are saying, we're done, ladies. We're not going to deal with your negativity. We're not going to deal with your toxicity. And the more you double down on it, the more men are walking away. It truly makes me sad that women have reached this point, and the honest truth is they're only going to end up more miserable in the long run, which is the actual goal of many of the women who are perpetuating these myths, because they can't get a man. They know they can't get a man, and they know they never will. It's why they deride the women who have happy, successful relationships as pick-me's, because they know no one, and I do mean no one, is ever going to pick them. But rather than acknowledge their flaws and do something about them, they feel it's better to just go on the attack. Because again, they think it makes them strong and independent. When the reality is, it just ends up with them being alone.